Hello everybody, welcome to the first video of Trainer Jake. Today we'll be going over slope intercept form and point slope form, as well as how to graph them and how the graph works. So let's start with slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where b would equal the y-intercept and m would be the slope. From here, changing the x values will make the m, which being the slope, multiply it and add the y-intercept. So let's try a basic example. Y equals 2x plus 3. So from here, let's try plugging in x equals 1. Pause the video if you want to try it. I'll give you a few seconds as well. Now if everyone's back, let's start. Plug in x, so y equals 2 times 1 plus 3. Very simple equation. This is almost elementary level. Then y would equal 5. But x can go on to infinity, so you can plug in numbers such as 100. Let's try this one out. Y equals 2x plus 3, where x is equal to 100. I'll give you a few seconds to try it out. Okay, let's go over it. Y equals 2 times 100 plus 3. Again, elementary level. But the numbers can be infinitely up or down as an x value, and where y is the dependent value, depending on the x value. So 2 times 100 is 200 plus 3, which would be 203. Never forget your notations. So, how do you graph this? The parent function of a y equals x graph is this. So each tick mark will represent 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So from here, let's draw out these points. So where x is equal to 0, then y would equal to 0. So then there will be a dot at the origin. When x is equal to 1, y would also be equal to 1 since they are equal. And this would go on so on and so on, as 2 is equal to 2 and 3 is equal to 3. Now this is also the same for negative numbers, where negative 1 is equal to negative 1, negative 2 is equal to negative 2, and negative 3 is equal to negative 3. Now with these plot points, you can just graph this out by connecting all the dots. Normally when you graph this, you will add an arrow at the end to indicate that it is going on throughout infinity. So from here, we can determine the slope by doing this equation, where y final minus y naught being the initial value over x final minus the x initial. You will learn these notations later on in science or math classes, but for now, just think of it as final and initial. So let's get the final points being 3, 3. Let's try that, since that is the highest value we have. So y final would be 3. And let's set the initial value as 2. So x equals 2 is 2, 2, stated by this function, y equals x. So minus 2, since that is the initial value that we set it as, over, again, x is 3, so 3 minus 2. Now this will give us the values of 1 over 1. And then that would be the slope, which is just 1. So you can also write this function as y equals 1 times x. Now let's move on to the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is what changes the initial y value. So let's try this out. Y equals x plus 3. I'll give you a few seconds to graph it out. Okay, let's start this out. So y equals x plus 3. Let's draw the graph first. Oops, sorry. For now, we will only be using the first quadrant, this being the origin. Okay, so normally when it's y equals x graph, you would get the initial value of 0, 0. But from here, when you plug in 0 as x, y equals 0 plus 3, then y would equal 3. So it would be, 3. So y would be 3. And then the plot points would be 0, 3. So let's graph this on. 0, 3. And the same rule applies for all. Y equals, let's plug in 1. So y equals 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. Y equals 2 plus 3 would be 5. And y equals 3 plus 3 would be 6. Let's put this all together. And since there's no m value in the front of x, the slope would be 1. From here, let's move on to the point slope equation. So point slope for equation is y minus y value, I'll just write v for now, equals m or k, interchangeable, as slope, times x minus x of value, or point. So let's use the y equals x plus 3 graph that we just graphed out, and let's choose a plot point. Let's try 3, 6. Y minus, so the y value for the 3, 6 would be 6, minus 6 is equal to the slope being 1, since there's no m value in the front of y equals x plus 3. So you can either leave it blank or you can just add the 1. For here, let's be concise and add the 1. Times x minus the value of 3, since that is what we have as the x point. Now this is equal to y equals x plus 3 if you solve it out. Y minus 6 equals x minus 3, where you can just add both sides by 6. Then you would also get y equals x plus 3, interchangeable with the slope-intercept form. Now these basics are important for the SATs as well as Algebra 1, as this makes up a few questions from the SATs. I hope you enjoyed your time at Trainer Jake. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.